Hello everybody and welcome to a very special video. If you're not aware, because you live on a rock, the next Battlefield game was recently announced and its name is Battlefield 1. The reason for this is because it takes place in World War 1. And you know, a month ago or so there was a rumor that was just floating around that it was either in World War 1 or it was World War 2. I actually personally expected it to be in World War 2 since, well, I didn't see how trench warfare would be successful. Silly, ignorant me. Anyway, since this recent news, I wanted to go through all my favorite Battlefield titles and go over my two favorite guns from each game. I won't be going over 1942, Vietnam, Battlefield 2, and 2042, just because I played them so many years ago that I really don't even remember what my ideal choice would have been. Not to mention, I wouldn't be able to get much footage from most of those because I don't think that they're very popular anymore. Anyway, let's start with some Battlefield Bad Company 2. Now, Battlefield Bad Company 2 was my first Bad Company. I actually didn't play the first one until I played the second one. But this game was more memorable to me than any of the previous titles because of how many hours that I put into it. I would play with my brother and his housemate back when we were still at uni, and it was just, you know, barrels of fun except for its initial release, which was just plagued with problems. I won't even go into that. Once this was sorted, I quickly fell in love with the engineer class, and I've always favored the 9A91 Avtomat. Cause honestly, it's just fucking cute. The gun is like, it's a tiny suppressed beast, and is an all-round balanced gun compared to the other engineer options. It has 20 rounds per mag, which is a downside compared to the Scar L, which also has equal stats. But for what it is, it really does pack a mighty punch. My second choice is the SV98. I honestly just started using this gun initially because I loved the way it looked. I loved its sound, and I didn't have the goggle unlocked, so it was a perfect choice, to be honest. And everyone was using the M21 or M24, I believe, and you know, I just kind of like to stand out and look different, so I just wanted to use the SV98. Honestly, if you just slap an ACOG on this with the Magnum rounds, nobody survives, unless you're on normal mode, in which you'll need a headshot or just hope they're already hurt. But I think I had the most fun in this game running around trying to quickscope people using the 98, and it also had like this amazing hipfire grouping, so you could actually just like run around and just no-scope people. In fact, most recon weapons in this game and other Battlefields seem to have like ridiculously good hipfire accuracy. I've gotten more no-scopes in this game series than any other game that I can think of. Battlefield 3 had me so excited for the game. The hype was huge, you know. I was lucky enough to be part of the alpha and the beta leading up to its initial release, and the jump in engines from Battlefield 2 to Battlefield 3 was just mind-bogglingly insane. Like, if you just look at them and compare them. Of course, Battlefield Bad Company 2 was a stepping stone, but I personally don't consider it part of the, you know, official Battlefield series. You know, it's more of a spin-off than it is, but it's obviously still very relevant. Anyway, shut up. Moving on to the A91. Now, this gun was my baby in Battlefield 3, but only after several hundred hours of gameplay. Initially, the SG553 was my weapon of choice, but it was taken over by the love of a bullpup weapon. You'll actually notice this a lot, by the way. A lot of the guns I like in Battlefield usually are because of the aesthetics or its real steel counterparts. I still, you know, will have other guns that I prioritize, but this usually whatever I like in the real world is, you know, somewhat similar to what I like in-game. I love the gun's ugliness, and I love its rarity and its origins, and in actual fact, it also ties with Battlefield Bad Company 2, because it spawns from the same family of weapons. Unfortunately, I'm a sucker for familiar choices. My second favorite weapon of Battlefield 3 is again the SV98. I stuck with what I knew, and it carried on to Battlefield 3. Leading up to Battlefield 3, I was playing huge amounts of Battlefield Bad Company 2, so I guess it just makes sense after the first, like, class I stick with is Recon. Once I get the SV98 that I can also see before I unlock it that it's an unlockable weapon, I get excited and I just stick with what I know. I felt that, like, the mechanics of the game, though, drastically changed sniping Battlefield 3 from Battlefield Bad Company 2. It no longer had, you know, when you were sniping in Bad Company 2, it felt like The gun just had no sway. It was perfect. It was still, you know, there was no, it felt like there was a bipod attached to air when you were shooting, always in Battlefield Bad Company 2. But in Battlefield 3, it felt more real, it felt more challenging, and eventually it evolved, you know, into sheer love on my part. I love the weapon, I love the mechanic. I just developed to enjoy it so much more than I did in Battlefield Bad Company 2. Now, the M40 was a close competitor, but again, if you just slap an ACOG or a 3x4 optic on this, the SV98, then it's just, I'm happy. I don't know what it is, but quickscoping is just so much more satisfying to me than laying down far away and hoping and waiting for someone just to pass in your line of sight, just so you can see that sweet pink mist. That actually never happens. I'd rarely, no, I'll be waiting for ages and I'll never actually get that kill, but running around quickscoping, I always seem to do it, so whatever. Now, Battlefield 4 is a little bit different. My two favorite weapons don't actually include a sniper rifle this time. It actually starts with an assault class weapon, the L85A2, which is such a fucking good gun. It's like, you know, it's a great all-rounder, it's perfect. It may not be as good as like, the AUG A3, which has a little bit of stability and accuracy, but less fire rate. I think there's a 50-point difference between the AUG and the L85 in terms of fire rate. The L85 firing 50 points more. But it, you know, the L85, its aesthetics, it just looks beautiful. It's been with me for a long time. I used it when I was a cadet back in high school. And you know, there's this patriotic part of me which just enjoys killing people in Battlefield 4 with our nation's weapon of choice. You know, I love it when it's just got like a shitload of attachments on it. It's a mix between the potato grip, which is what I'm currently favoring, and the angled grip. And you know, you've got a laser on, you've got either the Cobra sight or the 3x4 optic. Usually I stick with the Cobra, but you know, it's just, I think that the wrist mount is just a lot better than the plasticky foregrip that they used to have on the previous weapon in real life, and I'm just so glad that they actually put it like into the game. It was just the default option in the game. I love that. Last on the list, again, is another engineer class, which seems to be, you know, my only consistent choice throughout all three of these games. Each one of these games, my favorite class, one of them at least, has been engineer, or the weapons that are in that engineer class. And for Battlefield 4, it is actually the PP2K. I mean, this gun is just so weird. It's such an unusual looking gun, and I love it. I just fucking love how compact it is, how smooth it is. I actually really love to fire one in real life, just because I've never seen or heard of anything until I played Battlefield. And you know, its slow rate of fire, I think, is one other thing that really reaches out to me. It's just so reminiscent of like that flak 20mm cannon in Saving Private Ryan from, you know, at the end of the film where the dudes are like clearing that tank and stuff, and then Tom Hanks just calls out flak 20mm, and then it just comes out and it's like chuk, 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 and the dude's like head explodes, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and it's really annoying actually, because you know, it's basically a machine gun pistol almost. It's that small. I wish it that was this gun was interchangeable so that you could use it like per different classes, but it is a primary weapon and it is ideally just set for the engineer. But overall, I had a wonderful time like going through all of these games, playing them again, you know, getting footage, because this took a while to make because I had to record everything specifically. I didn't want to just have bullshit gameplay, you know, I wanted at least like considerably good gameplay. So that took a while because I'm not really the best. But I had, you know, it was probably the most in-depth video that I've made compared to like, say, I don't know, a trailer dub or something. Like, I actually wrote 2 pages of stuff down, bullet points, little facts, little things to jog my memory, you know. So I don't want to, I stumble a lot. I know when I just like talk without a guide or anything, I'm just gonna stumble, I'm gonna forget what I'm talking about, I'm just gonna fucking say all the time. But let me know what you guys think, you know, tell me in the comments what your favorite weapons are and from which game they are from, you know, Battlefield 2, perhaps, Battlefield 3, 4, is it Vietnam? Do you actually like Hardline? I don't know, I actually didn't include Hardline because I've barely played any of it. So yeah, just let me know what you think. Also, if you did enjoy the video, would you like to see more? Don't forget to leave a like, and if you want to subscribe, please do. I'll see you next time, guys. Take care.